Hey, I'm Fox.
And I'm Zoe.
And today we were going to review The Dark Knight Rises. But you know what? We did you one better. So if you're new here, basically this podcast is where we talk about a movie and say how we would remake it.
Today we are going to be talking about The Dark Knight Rises. We had a bit of difficulty watching this particular movie. The Blob we both had a fun time with, but...
this movie was actually torture.
Yeah, we couldn't watch it all in one go. We tried, but we had to watch the last hour of it on the next day.
Was it just an hour? Because it felt like 3 hours at least.
Yeah, no, it was the last hour of it.
This movie drags.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest issue with this movie. It's like a 2.5 hour movie, and you feel every agonizing minute of it.
Christopher Nolan stole my life from me with this movie.
It's such a shame to go from The Dark Knight, which is a legitimately engaging and impressive movie, to The Dark Knight Rises, which melts your brain into slop, and it just makes it incredibly difficult to watch. Even though the movie on its own, we've seen some bad movies, just in general in our lives, and this doesn't rank as bad as a lot of those movies. Well,
speak for yourself.
No, because in context to what we think it should be, it's definitely it feels worse because of the position it's in. But technically, there are aspects to the movie that we liked, and there are aspects to the movie that are well done. It's just there are a lot of parts that we don't like and aren't well done. Overall, it is bad, but it feels worse because we know it could have been a lot better.
I will grant you that. I will definitely grant you that. Because Nolan has put out some good movies before.
Yeah.
This is not one of them.
Yeah. I would say this is not as bad as a low-tier Marvel movie, even. I think it's above that.
What are the low-tier Marvel movies?
Well, there's Thor 2. There's... Yeah, I haven't seen it either. There's... I would say Iron Man 2.
I apparently don't remember which one that is.
That's the one... That's when War Machine is
Race
introduced.
cars? Is that the one with the race cars?
That is the one with the race cars.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also... I think Doctor Strange is on that end as well. The
Never
Doctor
saw
Strange
it,
movie.
but I probably agree.
Ant-Man 2. There's a couple.
Never saw Ant-Man 2 either. I don't watch movies, do I?
No, you don't watch Marvel movies is what's going on. You very specifically don't watch Marvel movies, but I do. I know I shouldn't, but I do. But I would say this movie's better than those. Because there is something there. It's not soulless. But it doesn't work in what it's trying to do. It tried for something, but it failed, which makes it feel worse than it is.
Yeah, I will grant you this.
So, there's a lot to talk about with this movie. The basic concept of what, the whole plot of what the movie is. Part of the reason why it feels so long is because the plot is so plotting and convoluted.
There are so many things that happen, and somehow it feels like nothing has really happened.
There are 4 plot lines, but they're not running in tandem. It's A, and then once A ends, B starts, and then once B ends, C starts, and once C ends, D starts. Which is police not corruption, but police overreach in Gotham, to Bane's initial attacks in the revival of Batman, to Bruce Wayne becoming broke, to Bane's occupation of the city. They're all different plot lines, and then they just end for the next one to begin.
And strung throughout all of those is other bullshit.
Oh yeah, those are not even the only plot lines, because there are side plot lines going in tandem.
Right. There's Selena Kyle.
There's Selena Kyle. There's... I am going to have to call him Robin because I can't remember what his character name is. There's Commissioner Gordon.
There is Gordon.
And then there's the police captain, which we also don't know the name of, even though he is the funniest thing. He is throughout the entire movie. He's literally in the first scene, and he is in most scenes until this scene of the climax in which he dies. But Fox did not remember who he was when he died. Legitimate, like the shot of him dying, Fox was like, "Who is that?" And I'm like, "This is the guy who's been here the whole time."
I was paying attention. I swear to fuck, I was paying attention. I just cared so little, is my excuse.
Yeah, he's not good. So those are like the main ones. Those are the main like side things. On top,
they tried to give him a hero's death, even though he was a corrupt piece of shit that didn't take anything seriously.
He was actively working against the heroes the entire movie.
Was he the shrimp ball man? I'm sorry, just saying that out loud like
I don't. Okay, here's the problem. Here's the problem. I don't remember the shrimp ball, so I can't say, but I don't think so. I think the shrimp ball was in the masquerade ball.
No, the shrimp ball was right at like the beginning when Harvey Dent's commemorative thing was happening.
Oh, he might have been.
And like it was so pointed. I don't know if it was him or maybe the guy that Selena Kyle kidnaps for a while.
Oh, it might have been him. It's one of those two. I know it's one of those two.
They
do look very similar.
They're older white men.
They're old, pasty, white, blonde men.
I'm obsessed with the way whoever it was ate that shrimp ball.
Fox has not stopped talking about this, and I cannot fathom.
I wish I could.
We're gonna move on, because I don't get it.
I'll never be able to move on. But yes, conversation-wise, let us commence.
So yeah, well, okay. The actual plot, I'll run through it as quick as I can because there's a lot going on. It's been 8 years since The Dark Knight. Batman has been gone the whole time. Bruce Wayne is a hermit. Selena Kyle steals his mother's pearls, so he becomes Batman again to find her, and then finds out about the master mercenary Bane, who was a part of the League of Shadows but was excommunicated and is doing some weird shit in the background. And then there's the Bane is in the sewers building an army and doing some like stuff, and then like corrupt dealings and shit's going bad happens for like a bunch of the movie, and then Bane ultimately... Bane takes over the stock market, drains Bruce Wayne's wealth, and uses that position to take control of Wayne Enterprises, because Bruce Wayne has a fusion reactor under the river that he never activated, which is why Wayne Enterprises is in financial trouble. We're going to get through it. I know you want to talk, but we're going to get through it first.
Biting my tongue.
So then Bane takes control of the fusion reactor, turns it into an atomic bomb that it will blow up on its own in about 5 months, and then blows up a bunch of the city and almost all of the bridges, all except one, and takes forced control of the city with his army and with Bruce Wayne's weapons and the bomb. And then he tells everybody, hey, I've got this bomb, and if you attack me, somebody else has the trigger, so they will blow it up, and we'll kill everybody in the city. And then Bruce Wayne gets his back broken, and then he gets thrown into a prison in the Middle East. Unspecified where in the Middle East. It's just there. It's in a desert. That's all we know. And he slowly starts to recover over the course of 5 months as the city goes to hell. And then Bruce Wayne fixes his back by doing sit-ups. And and he gets out of the pit, and he goes back to the city, and he sacrifices himself to get the bomb clear of the city before it blows up. And then he actually faked his death and is in France with Selena Kyle. And that's the end of the movie. Now, I know you were bursting at the seams to talk about dumb shit that entire time, so I'm going to let you do that now.
This movie makes me so irrationally angry. I almost don't know where to begin. Let's go with the obvious. You cannot, just heal a broken back by being hoisted up on a rope to, forced to stand on your legs.
Well, he also popped his vertebrae back in place. That was all part of it.
I mean, I guess that was a part of it,
but that also doesn't make sense because
right.
of how his back was broken. Because it was his back, it was a recreation of that one comic panel from Nightfall where Bane just smashes his back in half.
Really poignant.
It's really cool. It's an amazing thing. It's very iconic. They did that in this movie, but they did it bad.
It was very lackluster. I guess probably because Nolan was like, "Oh, we can't have it look really bad, or it won't be believable."
I guess so, but or there were issues with actors and doing it safely.
For the record, you cannot minorly break your back in such a way.
Right, but the way they talk about the break after was that there is one of the vertebrae of his back is out of alignment and is pushing out of his back, which is why he the doctor guy in the prison kind of smashes it back in. But that wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't, if it was out of alignment, it wouldn't be jutting out the back. It would be pushed in because of how Bane broke his back. Because it's back over the knee, so it would go up. So it would be going in more towards the body. So you wouldn't be able to fix it that way. Because
just punch his stomach. It will be fine, according to Nolan.
Yeah, even if there is a part of the vertebrae jutting out because of that, which is possible, the main part of the vertebrae that are fucked up or stuff that you can't get to by just hitting somebody's back. It wouldn't be fixed like that. If there are people out there who work with the back, there are doctors listening to this. I don't know why you listen to this, but if there are people that are listening to this and say that's wrong, let us know. But I feel that's at least a decent assumption.
I mean, no matter what, you can't just punch any bone back into place.
Oh, absolutely.
And then hoist a motherfucker up on rope and leave him there for a couple months while he just magically heals enough to do sit-ups without any physical therapy.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. It's really bad. There's a lot of reasons why it's really bad. So we're not gonna we're gonna end up talking about a lot of the bullshit in our redos. So I think we should just start jumping into that.
Let's start off with something positive. Selena Kyle. I like the actress.
Selena Kyle was the best part of this movie.
Yep, she was.
It's in terms of good things in this movie, it was Selena Kyle, then Commissioner Gordon, and then
nothing.
The one bad guy that Selena Kyle talks to the most, I liked him too.
Oh, no. There is one more good, beautiful character, and it was the gay Kentucky uncle police officer.
He's also good.
Beautiful.
And also, I think, so it's Selena Kyle, Commissioner Gordon, gay police officer.
Kentucky uncle
police officer. Gay Kentucky uncle police officer.
Thank you.
Then, purely because of the meme, Bane's speech. Not Bane as a character, just his speech. I will never not find that funny. Because it's a great meme.
Sean Connery sounding motherfucker.
Do we want to talk about that now, or do we want to go into the redos?
No, let's talk about Bane and his voice. I mean, we can't not talk about that.
Right. Well,
that was...
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look up that interview because I want to make sure I know the specifics on this.
All right.
which was, what is his fucking name?
I'm gonna drink water so the mic picks it up. So
This part is gonna be cut.
Yeah, but like you're gonna listen to it later.
Fuck you! Dark Knight Rises Bane voice.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
You know what? I did it to myself. I deserve that.
Yeah, you do fucking deserve that. What the? I think this is great. I showed Chris, and I said, Chris, we need to go down a sort of arch Darth. What? Straight neutral tone villain voice, or we could try this. Neither of those things are Bane! Neither of those things are Bane.
Couldn't you just act good?
Couldn't they have fucking gotten a different actor for this if they were concerned about like a white guy doing a Latino role?
Why not get a Latino man? Like that?
Yeah, there are Latino actors. What the fuck is this?
Why did I pronounce Latino like that? Jesus.
I don't know.
Um.
Or if you're gonna change it with the origins of Bane, because Bane is canonically born in the Middle East, and let's get a Middle Eastern actor.
Yeah.
Fucking fit with your bullshit.
Oh my god. It's like you create the bullshit and then you just don't fit your own bullshit pieces together.
So yeah, he okay, yeah. We're gonna cut in snippets of this while I'm reading this dumb shit article. But yeah, he modeled his voice after this one boxer in the 70s. And that muffled by the mask makes him completely unintelligible, and it doesn't work. And people have praised him like, oh, he put a lot of thought into this. You put a lot of thought into a horrible idea. That doesn't make it a good idea. That doesn't mean you did a good job. You did a bad job. You did not think of this right. Tom Hardy, I'm sorry, you should have not been in this fucking role. This was not your role. This was not yours. You stole it from somebody. Either intentionally or not, you stole it. Remake. Redo.
Right. Is there nothing else about the movie itself we want to discuss?
Well, I think most of the rest of the stuff we dislike about the movie, we're gonna have to talk about it when we go over our remakes, anyways.
Well, there are two things. One, obviously, we hate this glorification of the police at the end, where they're suddenly the heroes. Even though all throughout the movie they suck, except for Gordon, I guess. Robin. It felt like poison to say. I guess he's okay.
Well, it's like, it's weird because like even like at the beginning of the movie, they couldn't settle on whether they wanted to suck the police's dick or to talk about how the police are overreaching. They couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
They tried to do both, and it doesn't work.
And there's one last thing we should talk about, one glaring thing that we need to discuss before we talk about our remakes. Christopher Nolan, fuck you for naming him Robin, fuck you.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Fucking cheap-ass bullshit.
I don't think his name should not have been Robin. His name should not have been Robin.
I think, like, all throughout the movie, it was something like John.
Oh, yeah, it was a very generic name, which is why we can't remember it. It was like John Graham or something.
John White Boy, I don't know. Fucking Wonder Bread.
Dark Knight Rises. John Blake. And we looked it up. John Blake is not a name of any character from the DC Comics. So it's not a reference.
And, like, even if he was, it'd be really cheap to suddenly have his name be Robin.
Yeah.
Like,
his birth name is Robin for some fucking reason.
And it's like such a pathetic callback. Like, it doesn't matter. Just like the orphans.
Oh, yeah. And you can also tell, like, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is not a bad actor. He has done good work in other movies. You can tell that Christopher Nolan gave him nothing in this fucking movie. He did not give him an ounce of inspiration or direction. Joseph Gordon-Levitt really tried his hardest, but he got nothing.
He had some good moments. I will credit him that.
He had some decent ones.
Because of his acting, not Nolan.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. That's
because like once he was allowed to like be really emotional, there were like in the when he's trying to get the kids over the bridge, that was a good one.
Yeah.
But like, and when he's allowed to be really emotional, he does shine through. But he's not given that opportunity at any point in the fucking movie.
Can we also, speaking about the bridge scene, can we just fucking talk about how like there's no real emotional payoff in the end, like nothing is resolved about that.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, these cops were shitty. And like we're not gonna touch on that again. It's just left up in the air.
Right. I think what they meant to do was the emotional resolution was John Blake gives up being a cop because of that. And that's the emotional resolution. But it doesn't actually resolve anything.
Right. It's too little too late after you give a fucking hero's death to police officer white boy I couldn't remember. Who is... Oh, no, I know.
Peter Foley.
Is there an image of him eating the shrimp balls?
Not here.
God damn
it. Let me look up the guy. The congressman.
Yeah.
Is he even named?
He's apparently... you know what?
I don't know. That was him. I don't think they have a picture of the shrimp balls.
God damn it, IMDb.
I don't think I have a picture of the fucking opening banquet. Because why would they? Nothing happens there.
Well, thank you for at least trying. The shrimp ball mystery will remain such.
Well, I mean, we could just watch... No, I was going to say we could watch the movie again, but no. No. Even though it's right at the beginning, there's no way. Okay, how would you remake it?
Oh, you want me to start? Because I'm going to give
ahead.
you a whole spiel. I already remade the whole movie how I would do it.
Oh boy, it's going to be a long one.
Oh, it's going to be a goddamn long one. Strap yourselves in, kids. Okay, so I'm still going to keep it a movie with Bane and Selena Kyle. It's doable. This movie wouldn't have you believe that it's doable, but I believe it can be done. We can still open up 8 years later. Bats is super fucking depressed. But instead of just, like, holding himself away, he puts on Bruce like a costume. Which, it's true to Batman. Yeah. Bruce is his costume. Maybe he feels he owes it to Harvey Dent and Rebecca? Is that her name? I'm going with Rebecca because that's what I have in my notes.
Look it up.
Ooh, look it up, honey.
Rachel.
Oh, Rachel. I was so close. I'm not changing it in my notes. It's not going to come up again. So maybe Alfred refuses to let him go weeks without showering and just wallowing in his grief. Because, Alfred is a butler, yes, but more than that, he's a friend. And he was a caretaker of Bruce, right? Like, his parents died, Alfred stepped up. Yeah. Like, that's important to their relationship, but whatever. Out of all people, Alfred would do more to try and bring him out of his sad, sad state. And it's not going to be, like how he was before. He's not out partying. He still puts on a bit of a show. People aren't calling him a hermit and wondering where he is. And he's not going to go to the Dent Memorial, though, because, that would just be too much emotionally. And I'm going to say he's not really involved with the orphanage per se, but he's still, just donating money. He's not interacting with the kids. Money which he has plenty of, because he hasn't decided to just not run his company at all. Companies have, a whole board and shit, which they show in the movie.
Right, well, he doesn't even, even in the previous 2 movies, he doesn't directly run the company.
Yeah, but, things would still be getting done.
Yeah. Even
if it's not, with the core thing that they build.
Yeah, and I will say, just to cut away from your thing really quick, it is, I will say, maybe, you pour a bunch of your company's money into this big investment, and then you never turn it on, so the company doesn't make its money back. There's more than one project happening at a time. Other shit's going on. They will recover the money somehow. Those kinds of businesses have plans when big investments fail.
Wayne Enterprise is not a small business. It's not a small family thing. It's a big old fucking corporation.
And in DC Comics, at least, it's like one of the biggest corporations in the world.
I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe Nolan just doesn't know how businesses are run? It's not that I hate that women exist in this film, it's just nothing's really coming out of it. At least nothing satisfying. Selena Kyle and Miranda, or whatever, can still be in my remake.
Miranda Tate, yeah.
Yeah, but Miranda is just going to be a regular-ass businesswoman trying to do good instead of fucking nonsense, her backstory here.
Instead of actually being Talia al Ghul, who is an actually cool character in the comics.
Yeah, we're not cheapening her character. She's just going to be a businesswoman.
Talia's like this, like, one of the best fighters in the DC universe. She's a better fighter than Batman. That's canonical. They fuck because they have such, like, they fight so often because it's like such a like tense thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like a whole thing. And all Talia does in this is she stabs Bruce.
Very underwhelming.
Just
very
once.
underwhelming.
And she's only able to stab Bruce because Bruce doesn't know that she's Talia until she stabs him.
Right, so, you know,
That
boring.
stab doesn't even kill him. It doesn't even kill him.
It's boring as fuck and kind of useless. But anyway, she will stay around here, and she's gonna flirt with Selena Kyle. I want them to do some kissing, because I think it could really, you know, add some flair, add some further characterization. I just want the hot ladies to kiss.
That's very fair. Here's my question for you.
Yes.
Selena Kyle is very much a eat the rich cat burglar. Why would she make out with a business mogul?
Why the fuck does she make out with Batman?
Because in the comics they get married.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah. Well, that's a relationship that has like been building for like 15 years.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm not like saying they're going to cozy up in France after pretending that they're dead. What's going to happen is like they're going to do some flirting. Selena, you know, is going to be like, you're just one of the rich assholes. And Miranda's going to be like, I know there's a lot of bad rich people. Most of them. I am trying to do some good here. And maybe Miranda doesn't come from like a rich family. Maybe she is one of the very, very rare cases of making her own money. So, you know, more room for kissing.
All right, then.
Anyway. So yeah, I'm fine with Bane coming to Gotham solely to finish his old master's mission. No accent. There's no goddamn accent. We're also not going to have Tom Hardy in the role in my version. Maybe an actual Hispanic man, that would be nice. You know? So he comes in, he does his little scheming and shenanigans. Obviously different than the movie. No stupid ass stock market mishaps. Other things, I don't exactly know what. But things that the cops write off or don't look into really because the cops are going to be shitty in this movie and not quote-unquote redeemable. There's not going to be any hero's death for any cop.
Right, and it's also going to make sense because, like, in the story of the movie, the Dent Act cleaned up the streets, like, so thoroughly that there's barely any crime at all, and that's been around for a while, so it would make sense that the cops would, like, become more lax when they have less shit to do. So, like, they would, like, they're already bad, but now it's like, they don't want to fucking deal with this shit.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Gordon is the only good cop. I love Gordon.
Yeah.
He's the sole cop I will respect in this movie. Speaking of cops, very important, that white Wonder Bread over there, Robin, is not in this movie. Not like that. Speaking of Gordon, maybe he ends up in Wayne Manor or Wayne Enterprise because someone's trying to break in for something. Bats, of course, isn't out to him yet. Maybe there's a scene where Gordon's about to stumble on something bat-related and Bruce just has to distract him.
You said out like he's like a gay coming out of the closet. I mean, it's a phrasing I hadn't really thought of before.
If you're going to dress up like a bat, you have something to come out for. So yeah, Gordon's, going around. He's about to stumble on something Batman related, and Bruce has to, distract him. Like this little comedy bit. I love that shit. Alright? And it helps to build up their relationship, which is basically non-existent in the movie. And during this scene, we can have Gordon be like, hey, have you been to the orphanage lately? Let's go together. A couple have gone missing recently under mysterious circumstances. So this is how Bats gets to the orphanage, where he meets a young, angry teen named Dick Grayson, whose parents were murdered. That's right, we are bringing the Bat family into this fuck you all. I just want Dick Grayson back on screen.
You want specifically Dick Grayson?
I guess it could be any of the Bat family, but Dick Grayson. Specifically for
Damian Wayne wouldn't work. We're going to say Damian Wayne is not going to work. But you could have Jason Todd.
Yeah, you could.
And I feel like I personally like Jason Todd more. I'm more of a fan of him. I love Nightwing. I love Nightwing. Jason Todd's better. That's just where I stand with that.
Hey, you know what? It really depends on the iterations for me.
That's fair.
There's a lot of interesting writing throughout the years of comics.
Yeah, I just feel like for this movie, especially how you're describing the remake, it might be better to have Jason Todd. Because there's a whole thing of dealing with those kinds of anger issues.
I mean, either way, just bring this young teen who's hurting like Bruce hurt when his parents died, and let's show that growth of Batman.
Yeah. Though I would say it probably would be best if he's 17 or turning 18, so that we don't have a kid fighting criminals. Not a fan of that. Let's not keep that part. Right. Let's make him an adult. A young adult. He's just entering this. Right. But he's an adult.
Yeah, 17 or 18, and that's the right age where you consider yourself an adult. You're gonna shoehorn your way into things that you probably fucking shouldn't.
Yeah, and it would work if he's visiting the thing and if you want to go full coincidence, that's the day that he's getting kind of pushed out of the orphanage because he's turning into an adult.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So maybe he follows Gordon, see how he's attacked and narrowly escapes, when Gordon is finding Bane in the sewers and everything. And he's the one to bring him to the hospital. Then maybe he's hiding out in the hospital, and he sees Bruce Wayne going in to talk to Gordon, and he sneaks in after him. Bats has been out of the game for 8 years, and this kid, at least Dick Grayson, trained acrobatic. He is sneaky. He'll be able to spy, and he overhears that Bruce knows Batman, who apparently wants to save the city. So Dick decides to keep following Brucey Boy. And during all this, I'm not quite sure what Selina is doing, honestly.
Selina was a good part of the movie. She didn't need to be in it as much as she was. It's fine if she's a background character.
Yeah, and I figure while all this is going on, we have just her and Miranda with several scenes together. Establishing what I was saying earlier, that back and forth between this woman who wants to do good and this criminal who, she has a heart of gold. But she's gonna steal your gold as well.
Well, if you want a way to get Catwoman more into the movie, the question becomes, does Bruce know Miranda still?
Yes.
Okay, well, if he does, then Selina has connections to kind of the criminal underbelly that does still exist in Gotham, even with all this stuff. That's even true in the original movie. Mm-hmm. So she knows shit's going up. It's something's bad is happening, and stuff is going to get real bad real soon. And I would think that she would probably, if you set up that she is starting to have a relationship with Miranda, even if it's super duper cash, then she'd probably warn Miranda. Miranda might then warn Bruce. Because I would think, because anybody who's close enough to Bruce Wayne to talk to him regularly would have a suspicion that he is at least connected to Batman. Mm-hmm. So maybe you don't think he's actually Batman. Maybe it's the whole thing of I know a guy, or like in Iron Man's original creation, where Iron Man was Tony Stark would say that Iron Man was his bodyguard. So it's like, yes, I know him very well. I talk with him all the time, but like, he's not me. He's just this guy right next to me, like, and so that kind of that might be that same kind of idea. It's like maybe Batman, maybe he doesn't work for him. Maybe he's just like they're old friends. They're connected. I feel like it's a very understandable thing to say, especially like I would think most people would think, no, Bruce Wayne, he's not strong enough to do fucking anything.
That pretty boy, nah, he can't. He can't dress up as a bat and stand on rooftops and brood.
The weirdest thing this guy has done was date the entire Russian opera at once, and that was probably just for like a bet.
I mean, but
which is a thing that did happen in the movies, yeah.
So, yeah, okay, so all these scenes between these two, establishing them, it's tense, there's sexual tension, we're giving the queer girls out there a little treat, nom nom nom, sexy cat burglar. Anyway, back to Batman and whichever Robin we decide to use, where he's stumbling on Batman's real identity, he wants in. Batman knows he can't really stop this, not really a kid anymore. And so, like, he sort of helps in the way, like, I know you're going to fucking join me, I guess I'm gonna give you some protection. And I like the thought of, like, Alfred coming in, and, like, he has this moment of bitter nostalgia, and he's like, another young orphan. Don't worry, young sir, I'm now your surrogate father / butler. And I think I just, like, to bring the whole family together, I think that's nice. And it's great, but of course things go sour. Bane has a bomb that he got from Wayne Enterprises that Bruce never knew about, which is an idea that you had thrown out while we were talking about this.
Hearing it kind of said again, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely possible. There would have to be some like proper explanation in the movie. I don't think people would just accept there was a bomb.
I'm thinking it's not like his father was doing it. I'm thinking maybe there was someone, an employee, that was maybe messing with shit that they really shouldn't have and creating a bomb with the rich man's money.
Yeah, like a secret project or like maybe one of the other board directors like helmed like a thing in secret and it's like, hey, here's like, we're gonna work with the military on this. Wayne's really not for it, so we're gonna do this hush hush, but it's important because it's gonna earn us a whole bunch of money. And they create this like super weapon that Bane ends up stealing.
I mean, it sounds plausible to me. More plausible than the shit that happens in Nolan's movie. So yeah, Bane gets a hold of this bomb, and he wants to make Batman suffer, right? So he's broadcasting himself. Maybe he's got hostages, the orphans, Miranda, and Fox, Morgan Freeman's character. So of course Batman has to face him. Well, what else are you gonna do? There's a showdown. Things are rough. Things look bad. But then for a second it seems like Bats has the upper hand. Until Bane breaks his fucking back, and I want it to be brutal. I want it to look painful. I want the audience to feel the cracks in their own bones.
Oof.
I know. Obviously I would want it filmed in a way that does not put the actors or the stunt people at risk. Movie magic, baby! You can make shit look good! Not whatever the fuck that was. So, Bane thinks he's won. He's laughing and mocking and monologuing. But what he doesn't realize is that Bats managed to do one last thing. Breaking the fucking trigger so Bane cannot just instantly blow everything up. So now Bane's enraged and he's racing to the bomb to ignite it, prepared to die too if that's what it takes. But through superhero shenanigans, he's unable as Dick and Selina team up. Maybe Gordon manages to get in on the action again.
So Batman's just not at all part of the climax.
He brings the climax... it basically starts the climax, everyone else finishes it.
Right.
And I think that would be real poignant, because at this point, Batman just cannot be actively Batman, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, other people are saving the city. It's not just on Batman. He realizes he's not alone. And I think that could be a really powerful moment.
Yeah.
As opposed to him pretending that he's dead and fucking off and making everyone who ever liked him and loved him think he was dead. Fuck you, Nolan. So the day is saved. Bane's dead. Batman is paralyzed, though. He's not gonna be doing sit-ups ever again. And, like, maybe I like to think maybe he'll make an off-color joke like, well, I guess this means I don't have a limp anymore. Like, that's sort of grim humor, you know, it's dark, but he's happier than he has been in a while. You know, because this revelation, he's not alone. The city isn't going to rely just on him. You know, it ends on a shred of real hope. And then my last note here is also I want him and Selina to be frenemies who only get along when Miranda's in the room. Like, I just think that would be so funny.
I do like that. I think that works.
I love that thought.
That's very true to form. I do love this remake. I do love the ideas that you've presented. There's a lot there that I really do enjoy. Batman fans would kill you in real life. Paralyzing Batman, like, they will hunt you down and murder you in the streets.
Batman fans, are you listening? You can eat my ass. I'm also a Batman fan. I want to say that. I feel like I should have let in with this.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like, I feel like it's good to like kind of like, if you're gonna end the trilogy, I think it's fine to like do such a major move like that. Right. But no Batman. No. I should delineate between people who enjoy Batman as a character and what I am referring to now as Batman fans. But if you already been, you probably already
comic book bros.
Yeah. Like the guys like, oh my god, Batman.
The ones that like refuse to remember that there was a female Robin, at least one, the redhead.
Yes. Well, there was. Are you referring to Dark Knight Returns? Because I remember there was a female Robin there.
I'm referring to some of the comics. I don't remember when it happened.
I don't fully remember. I know a decent amount about Batman, but it's not the shit that I have the most knowledge of.
It's been a decade since I was obsessed with comics. And that was one of the things I was really into, was the Bat family.
Yeah.
A lot of that information's gone out of my head with other special interests, so... another little note here. Fuck all of you. Batman is going to have a broken back, and Selina is going to kiss ladies.
I think they'd be fine with seeing Selina kiss ladies. Ultimately, I think they would be fine with it. They may be outwardly angry, but inside they're jacking off. So I think they'll be fine with it.
Well, outside they're jacking off too. We just don't get to see below the waist. Thankfully.
They're like scream orgasming. I have no idea if that's going to make the cut.
I really want that to stay in.
We'll see. We'll see when it's like a week later. Or not a week later, but like we'll see when I'm editing this and I get to that part and I can stand listening to it. It's truly a mystery.
Here's the thing, even if you do cut it, don't like delete the file.
Oh, there's going to be the original recording.
Just like separate that, send it to me so I can have like a new ringtone.
No.
Every time.
I'm not going to do that because you are around your family too often. I'm not going to have a voice clip of me pretending to orgasm on your phone when you are constantly around your family.
I want to be chatting with my mother, and then suddenly from my pocket,
it's not gonna happen.
Orgasm just pops out full blast.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna give you that power. And if you take it, I'm going to destroy your phone. I could just steal it and like delete the file from it, but instead I will destroy it.
On principle.
It's to ensure that power never gets used against me again.
That's fair.
Speaking of which, we're going to segue right into my remake, which has a lot to do about dangerous powers being used against you. Which, there you go.
It just all ties in. Like, you were just a weaver.
Yeah.
A weaver of ideas. Please,
smooth
go.
as silk. So my remake is not nearly as structured or as in-depth. I haven't meticulously gone through the entire movie.
Are there lesbians?
There can be. There's places for them, but I haven't carved out an environment just for them. What the important thing that stands out to me about the original movie is they keep going back to this idea of weapons falling into the wrong hands. Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing about the fusion reactor turning into a bomb. Bane breaks into Wayne Enterprises and steals all of the prototype stuff that Batman was using to do Batman stuff.
The stock market. Construction.
The construction workers and the bombs laced in the concrete, all this other shit. It just keeps coming back over and over and over again, and that idea is comboed with Bruce's paranoia. He's worried about these things happening, which cuts off potential good things from happening, but then the bad things do happen. And it kind of... the thing that feels weird to me about that is we don't ever see a moment that justifies the paranoia. That specific paranoia. We don't see a moment where Bruce creates something and then it falls into the wrong hands. That didn't happen in the previous movies either. So I wanted to pull from the previous movie, and there was a recreation of the idea of Brother Eye, which is a thing in the comics, which was Batman's kind of surveillance system, which was a privacy nightmare and highly unethical. And they did a kind of recreation of it at the end of The Dark Knight, where so Batman taps into all of the phones and computers in Gotham and has them send out kind of like sound waves that do this kind of like sonar effect, and he's able to map out the entirety of Gotham in high detail, and that's constantly updating. And that is what allows him to find the Joker, because the Joker was hiding while he was preparing for this like big finale. And it's like a huge thing, and then Lucius specifically, there's like a whole conversation where Lucius is like, this is highly unethical, and I will not work at Wayne Enterprises if this thing still exists. I will not be on board with this. We gotta stop the Joker, because the Joker will actively kill people, but I will not allow this to stand. So at the end of the movie, it gets blown up. There's a self-destruct thing that happens, and it just goes, and that's cool. It's like a cool little kind of resolution to that, but I would love to bring it back, because there's this idea of like, once you make something, it cannot be unmade. Once you discover an idea, it is never lost, because somebody else could discover the same thing. Even if they don't have your specific knowledge, you discovering it proves that it can be discovered. And there will always be somebody else as smart as you. Maybe not all the time. Maybe very rarely. But it's possible. This is the whole thing about atomic bombs. Like, this is that whole idea. The second somebody figured it out, it was all over. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter if you scrapped all the plans. It was done. So I wanted to kind of have the intro of the movie be Bane's men are like, this is like as The Dark Knight is wrapping up. We're not 8 years later yet. Bane's men are already in Gotham. They're picking through the pieces of this broken Brother Eye surveillance system, and they're taking it away. And it's fully destroyed, so it's not something that they solve immediately. It takes them the 8 years to fully recreate it.
I like that.
But they use this as a way, and they use it in like very subtle ways first. They use it for blackmail. They use it to kind of like corrupt some politicians, to like change how they vote, to do this other stuff, like get into people's minds. This kind of surveillance system like starts to affect people on a very deep level all throughout the city, and they just keep going and going. Maybe it's not the entire 8 years. Maybe they've been working on it for a while. Like they finished a couple years ago, and they've been slowly infiltrating Gotham this way, and has been like they've been directing these laws and policies and putting the people in the right places to do the occupation of Gotham properly. And obviously you would need something to prevent the wider armed forces of the US from just coming in and taking over. So I think something like you wouldn't just have the Brother Eye surveillance state. You would need something else. You would need like a super weapon from Wayne Enterprises, but that could also be part of it. Like once they have this kind of like surveillance state, they get people into the right board member positions, or they take over they kind of corrupt the board members of Wayne Enterprises, and they start building that super weapon in secret. And then as soon as that's done, they have both of these pieces, they have full control, and they just take over Gotham, and it's under complete lockdown. And this would be a thing that just kind of like, it just happens out of fucking nowhere. And I would like, maybe Bruce has some brush, like, obviously they would avoid Bruce, because they know Bruce is Batman. Like, as soon as they have this kind of surveillance state and they get some of that information, they would find out that the Batcave's under the mansion. So they would find out, okay, he's Batman. We don't want to fuck with him, because if we get him tipped off, then he could stop it before we properly start it. So they avoid him. But
they still want to keep him alive.
They want to keep him alive because like watching his city crumble is part of the torture. But they also have to take over Wayne Enterprises because they have the technology to build this super weapon. The
technology, the money, the resources.
Yeah. So like Bruce is not going to be as fully checked out as he is in this movie. He's going to be somewhat checked out. He's still racked with grief. He is still having a really shitty time. But like, he's involved in Wayne Enterprises. He's doing stuff, and then he just like notices these people are acting weird. They're like they're putting up this like project idea that's like ludicrous, and like Bruce is like ranting and raving about how like this is a horrible idea. This is gonna cause horrible shit to happen. We can't do this. But like board like fully shuts him out. And then, like, they kind of... And it would be to the point where they, like, shut him... Like, literally shut him out of the fucking room. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? This is not how this company has ever worked. And so, like, that kind of tips him off. And he starts to, like, layer back everything that's going on. But it's too late. He doesn't know enough in time to stop it. And so he has to, like... So the occupation happens. I'm going to say, in my version, he doesn't get his back broken. There's no need to do Nightfall in this. It's a completely different fucking storyline. But, like, he's going through this, and then, like, I do, like, kind of, like, Bane being, like, a major part of it. But I think, like, his position should be more explicitly, he's, like, a general. He's not the mastermind. He is a very strong soldier who is good at commanding people. He doesn't have to be an evil genius on top of that. Okay. I know kind of in the comics, like, that's also part of his thing. But, like, I think he does work better with somebody else. So, like, having Bane and Talia as just Talia. And maybe you could also have the twist of Miranda Tate is Talia. And, like, have that be, like, the thing. But she would be revealed once the occupation goes down. Because once the occupation is done, she has no reason to hide anymore.
Right.
So, like... Miranda is, like, she joins the board of directors while they're rebuilding, so she's been there for a couple years. She's also, like, directly influencing the board of directors, along with the surveillance system, subtly influencing them behind the scenes. And she tries to get Bruce kind of, like, off the path. Doesn't work. Bane gets called in to directly deal with him, and they fight, and he fails, and the occupation happens. And then Bruce fights Bane again, and then Bane and Talia fight him, and then it's like some other stuff. There would have to be some other setups, and I think having Robin in for that, especially for the 2-on-2 battle, could be really interesting.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, like, Bruce needs to be in this city for the occupation. He needs to be there for that major failure.
Yeah.
Him being literally across the world makes it so that he doesn't have an emotional connection to what's going on. Sure, he watches it through a TV, but he breaks the TV right at the beginning, so he doesn't know what's going on. He can't bother to see it. He can't emotionally handle it, but that allows him to be distant from it.
Mm-hmm.
That should not be allowed. Batman needs to feel in his bones the horrors that are going on in Gotham because he failed. So, those are the major things. Having Catwoman there is important. I think, like, having her kind of, like, not like what's happening, but also thriving in it is a really cool kind of juxtaposition. Yeah. Commissioner Gordon, I think he would be really cool of, like, the occupation happens, he's the leader of a resistance faction.
Absolutely.
And, like, they're not going to wipe out the entirety of Gotham just because some people fight. Because part of what they're trying to do is to make the people fight each other. They want the citizens to kill each other. They would rather them do it themselves than have this super major weapon. It's literally just to get the U.S. forces out. Mm-hmm. So if internal fighting happens, Bane's all for it. And so, like, he uses it as a threat so that they don't really directly target him and his troops, but other people who, like, prefer this stuff. The criminal underbelly was coming up to the surface when this occupation happens. Gordon's initially fighting them. He knows Bane's the biggest threat, but this super weapon's kind of holding him back. And so, like, there's a whole thing in the beginning of the movie where, like, he is a war hero, but it's peacetime. Suddenly it's not peacetime anymore. He needs to be a war hero. He needs to be a general. He is leading the troops.
I love the thought of him rallying the people. Yeah. Really make this movie show the people of Gotham. Yeah. Have them fight back instead of, the police force who have done nothing but be useless.
Yeah. And you can find a really cool split of, like where the police force stands when this occupation happens. Some people will stick with Gordon because they really respect him. They served under him, especially during the time of the Joker and like all this other shit. And then you have this other selection of police officers who join with the gangs and like seeing how they work and seeing this kind of like tension. Like, you betrayed us. You went and like you did this other stuff, and you kind of hear from their perspective, but like they're obviously doing bad shit. So like you have these kind of like it's more diverse. You have more perspectives, and I want this occupation to happen 45 minutes in, and then we spend another hour in just living in this space.
I love it. Really give it time to like ferment, like have the audience sit in what Bane has made Gotham.
Yeah. We should also say, like, there was like the one major time skip in the movie to like right after it started to 5 months later.
Yeah.
It should be a couple time skips to show the evolution of how it's going. It should be like first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month, if you want to still do the 5 month time frame. But we should see a couple of slices of what this is like until Batman can shut this shit down. And it's going to take Batman a while.
Oh, right,
Gotham is going to be forever changed from this.
No, I do like this a lot.
Thank you. Beyond that, I mean, I don't have a lot. I just feel like having this idea of like Bruce made something and then it caused something truly horrible to happen through consequences he couldn't have possibly foreseen is really taking that idea and driving it home. And then there should be a resolution to that. Like, I don't know what the ultimate resolution would be for him at the end of the movie, where like, I don't know whether it'd be like, he doesn't like, he like maybe he like gives up being Batman because like his presence creates these scenarios where these like major weapons are necessary, which is kind of something they talked about in The Dark Knight, where Gordon talks about the escalation between the cops and the gangs. You know, we get semi-automatics, they buy automatics. We start wearing Kevlar, they get armor-piercing rounds, all this other shit. And
it's sort of alluded to in the movie, but it's never really, nothing really comes of it.
Right. So maybe he gives up Batman because of that. Or maybe we can have like an opposite thing of like, we shouldn't be afraid to try to make good things for fear that they might become bad. But that doesn't fully fit with the idea of like what we're doing. Like, so I think it would be more Batman as Batman is a force that does not make this world better. Bruce Wayne needs to be Bruce Wayne and make the world better. Like, that's, I think, the ultimate... that's, I think, what the ending to this movie would be. Where he hangs up the cowl, but he doesn't stop helping the people. You know, which is what Alfred talks about in this movie. You know, he talks about they don't need your body, they need your money and your connections.
Right.
You know? So I think that should be embraced. So that's what I've got on mine, and I think there's a lot of potential to work on the details of that. I don't have any of the details hammered out, and so whoever wants to take that idea, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. But I think there's a lot of thematic strength in that approach.
Your idea has good bones. Like, there's a lot of potential. If there's one thing I would add to it, let's go back to Selina Kyle. Still want her to have a thing for Miranda.
Well, since Miranda is a Talia again.
Right, but before she realizes that, maybe there's just like 1 or 2 scenes where there's some flirting. And then, like, maybe during the occupation, Talia is, still trying to flirt with Selina Kyle. And Selina's like, oh, no, this is bad. I hate what's happened here. Maybe, though, for, like, her own safety, she's playing along a little bit. But we, as the audience, realizes she's crushed. She's emotionally devastated, and she's disgusted by what she's fallen in with.
Right. I mean, that can also, like, kind of pinpoint, like, Selina's emotional state during the occupation. Because, as I mentioned, like, she doesn't like it, but she thrives in it. And that could be kind of highlighted by this kind of, like, connection with Talia.
Right.
You know.
It's like, you can be a pauper but respect yourself, or you can be a queen and hate what you've become.
Right. So, there's a lot to work with there.
Yeah.
So, those are our ideas. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I really want to try making shrimp balls. Do you like shrimp? Can we do some shrimp balls?
I enjoy shrimp, yeah.
I like, I like fried shrimp. I like it when it's breaded. I don't like just, like, weird plain shrimp in my mouth. Let's do some shrimp balls. That's what this movie's given me. A craving for shrimp balls.
Fair enough. I mean, if you want to make that, go right ahead.
I'll put it on the list.
Right.
Right.
So what won't be made is what you're telling me.
Ooh, just tie me on the back of that horse, slap its ass, and watch it go. Just drag me to hell, why don't you? Is there anything else you would like to add that's not a jab at me?
No, I got nothing else to talk about. I think we've gone over our thoughts of the movie. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all had a fun time. If you like these ideas, please go ahead and use them, and definitely let us know. And we'll see you guys next month.
Yeah, it was great to have you all listen to us. Fuck you, Christopher Nolan, and go lesbians.
Yeah.